Hi, I'm Melissa, and this is The Book Break. And today I'm really excited to bring you a romance author who has some of the funnest romances I've ever read. It's CJ Anaya. We're going to bring her right in. Hi, CJ.
Melissa. Hi. How you doing?
Good. So, for our viewers that don't know, I have become a major fangirl of CJ, and romance is not even like my top genre. But you write a unique romance. You have fantasy paranormal romance. So, this is the first book it's called Paranormal Misfits, My Fair Assassin, and this is a 6-book series. And recently, your 6th book came out. Tell us about this. Yeah, My Fair Queen. Oh, so good, guys. And ladies, I should say. Tell us about your series, CJ.
Well, Paranormal Misfits actually started out as a short story. So My Fair Assassin was a 10,000 word short story that was in an anthology called Strange and Lovely. And we were just focused on some fun paranormal romance that was clean and age appropriate. And what happened from there was I got a lot of requests to extend Jareth and Crysta's love story. They wanted a full-length book. And I wrote about 40,000 words, I believe. It was more of a novella. And I did leave it a bit open-ended because there was a place to take it. But I just wasn't sure how it would be received. And after that first book, I got like outrage. People were like, where's the rest of the series? And I was like, oh, well, it kind of ends. And they were like, no, it does not.
Yeah.
So I went back in and rewrote it just a tiny bit to lead into an actual series at the end. And then I republished it, and then I hit go, basically.
Yeah.
And then I started writing the rest of the series.
Yeah, well, and it's fun for anyone that hasn't read your series yet. If you ladies or men like to sit down and just read a series from beginning to end, you can do that with the Paranormal Misfit series. So this one I think is really cool because one, it has fairies in it, but not fairies like people may be familiar with them in other fantasy worlds. Tell us about the world that you created in this series.
So within this series, I thought it would be really interesting to have every different type of race or species of fairy have their own king. While I like the Seelie and unseelie idea, I wanted any types of fairies that fit under an unseelie category to also have their own subset of rules. So, the centaurs and the satyrs, they all have their own kings, and they all represent their race when they go to the unseelie court. It's the same thing within the Seelie court. Now, of course, that time and age-old war between unseelie and Seelie is there, and it's prevalent. But, Jareth is from one court, Crysta's from another, and it's about that kind of process of unification. There are a lot of issues in the Fae Realm that cannot be solved without Jareth and Crysta and that love and cooperation coexisting. And I didn't realize as I was writing it that I was essentially writing about love and inclusion, and that I was talking about things transcending race and transcending things that are who are different. So for years before Crysta even hits the scene, for centuries, there are what is known as lesser fae, and then there are, the nobles. And so Crysta is kind of a breath of fresh air in the sense that she sees people and she sees souls and she sees kindness, and she does not see anything that distinguishes one from the other as far as lesser or more or better, So she really is able to unify people in a way that assists them in coming together and saving that realm, whereas all of that division would have completely destroyed it. And as I was writing it, I didn't realize it would eventually be so prevalent for, I think, this day and age, and what a lot of people are dealing with, what a lot of kids are dealing with. I wanted to focus, the first book was actually just to focus on Crysta accepting herself and how different she was, and how different her features are. The pointed ears, the pale skin. I burn like crazy. I swear I'm not a vampire, but 10 minutes out and I burn, and it doesn't matter how much sunscreen I put on. And so that was kind of another part of me that I added to her because it's so very weird. And these are all different things about her that she has to learn to embrace, because I want my kids and my nieces and my nephews to embrace all of that individuality so badly, and to love every aspect of themselves. So I have a few little lessons in there that I hope people will enjoy, and they don't feel like they're being preached to, I guess, or
Oh
I
yeah,
don't know.
definitely not.
Yeah.
I think they'll for sure enjoy it, but definitely not feel like they're being preached to. I
Good.
never felt
Good.
that way in the book.
Oh, good,
And
good.
one of the things, so My Fair Assassin is, for those that, haven't read the series yet, Crysta is in the human world, and the fairy Jareth comes to assassinate her. And they eventually develop some sort of a relationship, right? So
Mhm.
I won't ruin it for people that haven't read it yet, but you're going to see that throughout the series, is the relationship and how that works. But I agree that you really put in some fun lessons in there. I don't know that fun's the word, but to me, I thought, wow, who would have thought of using fantasy to
Mhm.
put in lessons? But I thought that was really great. But I've got to say, I love Krista's character. And part of it is, I feel like through reading your books, I've gotten to know you, because her character is so real and so relatable. And I feel like, I don't know if she's you, but she's really funny and she loves chocolate. And when I read your author bio, I'm like, this kind of feels like she's a little bit of CJ.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't really know how authors get away with writing stories that don't have a little bit of themselves in the characters. I write what I know, I write from experience. And so yeah, inevitably there's some me in there for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I want to make sure also that we mention, another series of yours that, after I finished reading Paranormal Misfit series, I couldn't get enough of CJ. So I read another fantasy series that it's a fantasy romance that you wrote, and it's the Healer series.
Right.
And it also has mythology, Japanese mythology in it. And I just loved this series. So this is one I want to make sure people check out too. And just for everyone out there that's reading, this is in Kindle Unlimited. So you guys can jump in and immediately read the whole series. So give our viewers a synopsis of the Healer series.
The Healer series is about a young teenage girl named Hope, who has been, as long as she can remember, ever since her mother passed, she's been able to heal people, and she does that by connecting with their life force. And I when I was using this and discussing the ways in which she does that, it was really it touches a little bit on energy healing, because that's been some experience in my life. But I really wanted her to be the type of individual who had this power, but had to wield it wisely. It wasn't just about bringing people back from the dead. And then, of course, there are, people from her past who come forward that she doesn't know. So I'll just kind of leave it at that, even though they know her and she doesn't know them. I don't want to ruin the surprise. But
Yeah.
the Japanese mythology was important for me to incorporate and to create a Japanese fantasy world. Because we had foreign exchange students living in our house when I grew up, and Steve Young, he's from Japan, and I have such fond memories of him playing with us and hanging out with us and telling us all of these really fun stories about Japanese mythology. It stuck with me, and I had to incorporate it in these books. So
Yeah. Well, and I love that you did, because I feel like Japanese mythology is one that not a lot of people are familiar with. We're all pretty familiar with Greek and Roman and maybe even Egyptian mythology, but prior to reading your series, I really didn't know anything about the Japanese mythology. So the Healer series is another really fun romance series, but it's also, fantasy and mythology. It's got a lot of great stuff in it too. So for our viewers, they're definitely going to want to check you out, CJ. Where can they find
yay.
you?
You can find me on Amazon, first of all. Absolutely. You can check out my Amazon page and all the books that I have on there. You can find me on my website. It's authorcjanaya.com. I'm on Instagram, on Author Journey, because I usually work and do a lot of editing with clients and writing coaching. So I also have a YouTube channel called Author Journey, where my clients get free tutorials of how to write books. So if you want to jump on there and learn how to write stuff, you can. I'm also on LinkedIn. If you want to see my background and crazy things that I did in high school and college, you can. I think I really filled it out there. I filled out a lot of things there. I was like, let's get real detailed. So you can find me on all those. I think that's everything. Did I miss something? I don't know.
I don't
But I
know,
think that's
but
it.
we'll put
Oh,
it in the
Twitter.
credits. So once we're done with this, viewers, you can check out our credits. So once we're done with this, viewers, you can check out our credits right after this, and it will have all of CJ's ways to contact her or learn more about her and her book. So thank you so much for being here with us, CJ.
Oh, you're so welcome. I'm so grateful that you let me jump on here with you and chat. Thank you so much, Melissa.
You bet. And thank you to our viewers. We'll see you next time.